Greetings, folks. Today is Sunday, March 17th, 2019. I'm Tom Lineweaver, and this is my political commentary for today. Although it might not be my last. I've got to stop doing that. What happened this morning, I did Christ Matters. Well, while I was preparing to put it on YouTube does this crazy thing by putting videos on a page and saying this is recommended for you. And YouTube, I don't know if they know about this, but they are egging me on, and I think they know controversy sells, and if anybody is going to call Glenn Beck a jerk, it will be me. Okay, so yes, in my opinion, Glenn Beck is a jerk. Now, that video I had converted into an MP3, and I'm going to play it for you. Of course, I'm going to give you the link to the video, and in case you want to watch the video. But I want you to hear what this jerk said in this post. It was posted on March the 13th. I want you to hear it.
Let me start here. Here's this freshman congresswoman that no one is willing to look into. There's an electric fence around here. You cannot talk about her. But when I said to my staff, I want to really look into her and I want to see, tell me who she is, tell me where she came from, et cetera, et cetera. We started uncovering things that are just beyond description strange. There are multiple suspicious stories that the media has granted her a pass, and they would never grant this pass to anyone. I mean, even the average Democrat would not get away with these things. So I want to talk to you a little bit about her and where she came from today. We'll talk about her anti-Semitism and the heart of that on tomorrow's episode at this time. Now, the first stories that started to come out to question her came out from online bloggers back in 2016. Normally, I wouldn't go to an online blogger and say, hey, look at what this online blogger did. However, when you have no media, sometimes the online bloggers, if you check them out, have something, and they have checked this out. Back in 2016, Ilhan Omar had committed immigration fraud. This was the charge, that she had committed immigration fraud by marrying her brother to facilitate his arrival in the United States. Okay, all right. If it was from a blogger, I would look into it, but it doesn't help that, it's like, okay, really? So she set her social media platforms to private immediately after that story broke, and then deleted all of the alleged evidence that was used to prove the immigration fraud case. It was all up on her social media. And as soon as that came out, delete. Okay, sounds suspicious, but the mainstream media wouldn't touch it. Not even the local Minnesota media would touch it, and you'll understand why by the end of this episode tomorrow. The Associated Press actually took this on. They were the only outlet. The Associated Press, not a slum outfit, and currently not a conservative outlet, to say the least. But when they asked Omar what was going on, she just said, quote, "I choose not to further the narrative of those who oppose us," end quote. Okay, well, I assume you're saying that those are all lies, but it would be easy to prove them. So the AP asked Omar for her immigration records and birth certificates that would prove her denial. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, geez, a birth certificate thing. There was nothing with the Obama birth certificate. Can we stop with the birth certificates? and the fact that she said that her family's birth certificates were lost during the Somali Civil War, something that probably did happen and was true. So you're not going to base it on birth records. However, the immigration records, the things that should be open, you shouldn't have a problem with this at all. She refused to offer any of those up, and a Freedom of Information Act request submitted by the Associated Press was sent back explaining the approval of the release had to be authorized by Omar and her husband, and they won't sign off. Now, even Snopes, who's not really in the Donald Trump camp, classifying this not as true or false, but unproven. So let's recap. We have a credible case of immigration fraud by a U.S. representative, and the alleged perpetrator has deleted the visual evidence, refuses to provide any evidence, the person who is, under the microscope. She's gone radio silent on this issue ever since, and no one is looking into it. Okay, I mean, you'd think that someone would, at the New York Times or Washington Post, at least be curious. Why wouldn't the government open a probe? The Associated Press, according to the Associated Press, the Obama administration never started an investigation, and the Trump administration hasn't started an investigation. Okay. What else you got? Well, there's also evidence that Ilhan Omar committed perjury in court. Now, this is where it starts to fall into place. When she filed for a divorce from her possible brother in 2017, Omar claimed that she hadn't seen or made contact with her husband since 2011. She said, "I don't even know where my husband is or where he was. It's possible he was somewhere in London." Well, PJ Media went to the Minnesota Family Records Center, and they verified that Omar officially submitted to the court that her last contact with her husband was June 2011. So remember this. And she said, "I haven't seen him since June 2011," and that's in her divorce records. So in the absence of any journalist doing any work on this at all, the internet sleuths had to go to work, and they searched Omar's husband's last known location, which was London, right? She said, "I haven't seen him, probably in London." So they searched to see if Omar had traveled there between 2011 and 2016. Oops. They found some photos on social media taken in London back in 2014. The picture is up on the screen now if you happen to be watching. It is taken in 2014. That's Ilhan Omar and her ex-husband or brother or whatever. So isn't that a pretty strong case for perjury? Case for law enforcement, at least to investigate, the mainstream media to do some kind of looking into this. Give credit to the Associated Press. They're the only ones that at least ask Omar about this discrepancy, and she refused to address the situation. And Omar's husband, ex-husband, has declined any kind of response either. And by the way, the pictures, they're mysteriously been deleted. Now, there's one other thing. Omar has been accused by State Representative Steve Drazkowski of not one, but 3 campaign finance and ethics violations. The first allegation involves the use of $3,000 in campaign money that was spent on travel to Estonia and Boston. Now, Drazkowski claims that these trips were personal in nature. And her response? It should be concerning to his constituents that he's using taxpayer dollars to harass a Muslim candidate. So in other words, her defense is, "I'm a Muslim." The second allegation is that Omar used over $2,000 in campaign finance to pay her lawyer for her divorce proceedings. Omar's response was basically, no, it was for something else. And no other explanation has been given. The third allegation is that she made ethics violations after accepting speaker fees from public colleges. Omar would later pay that money back, but no apology? No, instead we got this. We recognize how these folks are deeply invested in stopping a progressive, black, Muslim, hijab-wearing, immigrant woman. Boy, intersectionality is working for her.
Okay, folks. I assume you've listened to the program. And like I said, I will give you a link to the video. Okay. Yes, it is my opinion that Glenn Beck is a jerk. Now, I was a fan of Glenn Beck for about 2 seconds. It was a long time ago. It was during the Obama administration. And there's one thing I always liked about Glenn Beck. If he had a problem with Republicans, he would say it. So I don't remember if he said anything bad about George W. Bush, but that's a long time ago. Okay. Now, he talks about the Constitution. But as it turns out, the Constitution is only meaningful to Mr. Beck when it fits his agenda. All right? Now, in order to attack Representative Omar on this immigration fraud, he has to ignore the Constitution. You got this, Mr. Beck? I hope you're listening. The Constitution says nothing about immigration. The Constitution does not give Congress power to regulate immigration. Therefore, based on the 10th Amendment, that's a power reserved to the states. And that's the way it was for a long time in this country. States had their own immigration policies, and that's the way it should be today. But you see, the federal government stole that power from the states, as they have done with a lot of things. Well, see, instead of condemning Miss Omar, you should be condemning those who ignore the Constitution, like you're doing. Okay? So, that's count number one. Now, what about her private life? Why? Why is that important? Okay? The only reason that you would bring any of that up is because you are attacking her. All right? Now, let me attack you. Did you, ladies and gentlemen, do you know that Glenn Beck is married twice? Okay, and I'll give you a link to this article too. It's Glenn Beck is married twice. Who is his current wife? Does he have any children with her? I don't care about that one. What I care about this part of the article, Glenn Beck's first marriage. The political commentator has been married twice. Previously, he was married to his now ex-wife Claire from 1983 and divorced in 1994. They met for the first time in the early 1980s while working for WPGC. The couple lived together for 10 years, and the reason for the separation is due to Beck struggling with substance abuse. So you were a drug addict. How in the world can you stand in judgment over other drug addicts? I don't know if you do. I haven't heard it, but the potential is there. I mean, I haven't listened to you for much of the Trump administration. In fact, during the second term of the Obama administration, I didn't listen to you much either. I actually listened to you mainly during the Project September 12th. Okay. I think you were trying to unify the country. Well, you know that didn't work. So, you were a substance abuse? Now, if I continue to look back into your background, what else am I going to find? Okay? So we all have skeletons in our closet. So, now, part of this, it says the couple lived together for 10 years. Now, I'm not sure what that means, because often that means you just live together without being married. So, but according to the same article, you've been married to her. So, anyway. So, apparently, what happened during your substance abuse years? Did you beat on your children? Did you beat on your wife? Anyway. So now you're married to your second wife. Her name is Tanya, and I guess you met her at a time when you were soul searching, and you both decided to join the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you joined in October of 1999. Well, okay. Now, I generally don't hold that against people, but being a Mormon is stupid. I mean, you're supposed to be an intelligent person. Read the Bible. Let's see. The Constitution only fits when it's your agenda. And you don't understand the Bible, or you wouldn't be a Mormon. So, but here you come, condemning another human being that has a few skeletons in her closet, and that makes you a jerk. Because you have your own problems. Alright? You have your own skeletons. And I'm sure if I continue to dig into your background, I will find more. Won't I? Because I've heard rumors a long time ago. Maybe I should go check to see if those rumors are true. Anyway, so substance abuse. And often substance abuse leads to violent behavior. So perhaps you were violent with your wife and your children. I'm going to see if I can find any articles about that. Anyway, so Glenn, you're a jerk. You don't believe in the Constitution except when it fits your agenda. You have skeletons in your private closet. And maybe I can continue to attack you the way you're attacking Miss Omar. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, calling him a jerk is a lot milder than what I wanted to do. I mean, during rehearsal today, I was really ranting and raving, and you wouldn't believe the things that I was saying. I wouldn't believe it either, except I heard myself say it. So anyway, so I settled with he's a jerk, okay? And many of you probably agree with him. Many of you probably disagree with me. But then on the other hand, there are a lot of supporters of Miss Omar. I almost forgot her name. Now, on a side note, by the way, I just saw here that you remember the show Airwolf? It starred Chan Michael Vincent. Well, there's a story here that says he died at the age of 74. So I'm going to look into that too. All right. That's my commentary, my political commentary for today. I am not going to look at another video of any kind, all right, except mine. I just want to make sure it sounds good. Of course, it very seldom does. I do make mistakes now and then, but hey, I think I'm a better verbal communicator than I'm a writer. I might be wrong, but Glenn Beck is a jerk. Thank you for listening.